What's going on, guys? Phil here from Phil's Craft Corner. Hope you're all having a great day today. Today is quite an exciting day for me because I got this box. Anybody recognises the name on the front of this box, they'll know exactly what I'm doing today, and that is replacing the laser tube in my laser. I got this tube from Vevor, however you want to pronounce it. They seem to sell quite a lot of stuff on Amazon, sell quite a lot of their lasers. I've had a look around their website. They sell all kinds of different bits and pieces for forges, heat presses, button makers, all kinds of stuff. So I ordered the laser tube. It came within 2 days. This one was $89.99. It's a 50 watt 800mm tube, which is exactly what I've got in my laser at the minute. So we're going to open this up. We're going to see if everything's okay, because it shakes around in there a little bit, and this box is only cardboard. It doesn't look like it's taken any damage at all. From what I can tell with the tracking history, it possibly came from the USA. I don't know. It seemed a bit weird that it would come from the USA to come over here, but it arrived in 2 days, so quite happy about that. We're going to open it up, we're going to make sure everything's okay, and then we're going to fit it into the laser. Okay, so let's open the box and we'll make sure everything's okay in here. So inside that box is another box with this shrink wrap on each end, and then shrink wrap around the box as well. By shrink wrap I mean bubble wrap. So I'll reuse this kind of stuff for things that I'm sending out, so that's always good. I'll probably be able to break down that box and reuse that too. There's no rattling noises, so that's always good. Very carefully. So everything on this tube looks really nicely sealed. It looks in really good condition. Nothing's broken or cracked or anything like that. It does show you which way around the tube goes. So when it's in the machine, it'll be this way around, which is this is going to be pointing towards the first mirror. Lens at the end. Looks very nice and clear. And it was actually, if you can see that, produced on the 16th of August this year. So it's a very new tube as well, so the gas in here should be quite good and it should last a long time. The good thing with Vevor, apparently you get a year's warranty with these tubes, so that'll be pretty cool. I very gently put this back in the box. I'm going to slide the other box back on the top because I'm not quite ready to put it onto the laser just yet. I need to take the old tube off, and I still need to do the test for the cutting and see how that goes. I also want to show you the colour of the light that's coming through from the tube. I'll get set up over by the laser and we will try to get some good shots on how the old tube looks. Now it's going to be a bit difficult because there's not that much space in the room where I have my laser, just where I have to have it next to my computer and by the window so I can vent it out. I can't actually pull it all the way away from the wall so that I can get behind it, so I'm going to have to kind of install it being upside down myself, but I'll try and get the camera in a decent angle for you to see. Alright, so I've got my file set up on Lightburn. This is just my test cut file and speed and power settings. I'll stick a link to my Ko-Fi page where I'll put this file so you can download it and you can test materials yourself. It'll only be available for Lightburn because it's a Lightburn file and I don't know how to export it into anything else at the moment, so that's just something you are going to have to deal with. If you're using Lightburn, then you can use this file. So I'm going to send this over to the laser, and while it's cutting I'm going to show you the colour of the tube and how it's performing, the temperature of the water, etc., so I can keep everything as close to the same settings as possible. Okay guys, so we're now on to the cutting stage. It's done the engraving, so there's no point in watching the engraving. So I'll have a look at the tube now. And as you can see, it's a very, very light pink instead of like a pink purpley colour. The only purpley bits I can see are right at that end. I think this is actually showing up more pink on the camera than it is in real life, to be fair. So we'll do the test and we'll see. We're going to swap it over. As you can see, it gets quite dirty in this back bit because these sections down here, which link to the bottom, were just wide open. I've taped over there now. It took me a couple of months, and under the laser up here there's also another big gap. So as it was extracting, it was just pulling all the fumes into this section, which isn't great. So hopefully we get nice bright purple tube beams on the next lot. That's finished, and hopefully that's cut through. Let's see. Nope, didn't cut through. So this is what I mean. These were the settings I always used for MDF, and it's not even cut through this time. So I'll get the tube swapped over. I'll just move this down to just underneath, and then we'll go from there. So before you start any kind of job like this, replacing any part in any kind of machine, car, bike, whatever, you want to make sure your new part is the same, or at least similar to the old one. And that wrong way around. I was confused there. So we're pretty much the same length, pretty much the same thickness, everything's almost in the same spot. So I think we're good to go. I'll get this one taken out and then I'll put this one back in. Before I actually start taking any of these bits and pieces off, I need to leave this machine for as long as I possibly can, because I've just been running it and we don't want that hot wire, the red wire at the back, we don't want that to have any residual energy in it, because it does hold a very high voltage, around 20,000 volts from what I've been reading. When I replaced the power supply on my K40, I was testing it and it arced and I didn't leave it long enough. I went near it and I got a shock from that, and it was tickly to say the least. So I'm going to leave it a little bit longer, and while I'm leaving it longer I need to drain these pipes, these water pipes. I need to drain the water out of the water tube. All I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take the water pipe out of my ice maker, and then I'm just going to blow down the pipe just to push all the water out as much as I can anyway, and then I can pull these tubes off, these pipes off, and there's not going to be water going everywhere. I'm going to get myself some kitchen roll anyway, just in case there is a few drips. And like I say, I'm working in a tight spot, so I don't want things dripping onto wires, and yes, we'll try and do it as tidy as possible. So I've disconnected the water in from my ice machine, from the water pump in there. I've dried it off and I'm just going to blow down that end of the pipe, and it'll blow the water out of the tube. Okay, so from what I can tell, that's all the tube empty of water. Get plenty of bubbles back into the ice bucket. Yeah, now I can start pulling these pipes off. I'll probably wrap them up somewhere so they don't drop down, and try and do this as tidily and as safely as possible. So these pipes do just gently push onto the ends, so you can just gently pull them off. one's a little bit tighter. That was quite tight, which is, it's not a bad thing. It means we're not going to get leaks. That could just lay, no, not that way. At least that proves that there's not much water in there, nothing came out of that when it fell. This white wire is just my LED lights that I've got in there, so I just took that out of the way. I need to undo these connections here, and then I can take the live and the neutral off. So quite simple, it's just an Allen key. I think it's a 3mm. 3mm. If you got yourself one of these sets, then you're going to be okay. You'll probably have one that fits. These ones at the back are very annoying. Was there a hole? No. On my K40 there was a hole drilled in this plate here, so I could get through, but on these it seems like there isn't. So we're going to have to do it the very annoying way and just gently, quarter turn at a time, bring it out, which is just going to be very, very annoying. Much easier when you can get to the point of getting your fingers in and turning it with your fingers. To be fair, that back one doesn't need to come completely out. You can get this front one out, and then you can slide the tube between. There we go, that's your tube out of the holders. I'm just going to turn that to the side so I can actually put that back on there, because we need to disconnect these wires now. And from what I remember, these wires are just wrapped around the little pin and then held in with silicone. So to make this easier for myself, rather than trying to pull all this off and then take the silicone off, I'm just going to cut the wire here. There's plenty wrapped around on that side, and this one I can get really close, so I'm just going to cut them there. Pretty close to where the ends are. And there we go, that's the old tube out. It's absolutely disgusting because of the way all the smoke comes through. So we'll go and put this next to the brand new tube. I'll show you these connections and how I plan to make a good connection on the new tube. Okay, so I managed to cut the bits of silicone off each end. You don't have to do that, but I wanted to see how this one was connected. And just as a thought, it'd been wrapped around, and then this, which is basically just a piece of the tube, your water pipe tube, cut and put over the top as a mold for the silicone, basically. I did cut this one open, just try and see if it can focus in there for you. And it was just literally, all this was just wrapped around the coil and then just siliconed into place. I did have this kit, which I was hoping to use some of these connectors, like a spade connector. I was wondering if these spade connectors were small enough to get a tight connection onto the end, but they're just too loose. I was going to sit that on the end there and then again put that over the top and seal that in, because I think that would have given it a much better connection than just wrapping it around. But that's very loose on there, it doesn't fit tightly at all. Again, thought about the same thing with these, but it's just the same. I don't want to risk crimping it onto there in case I do break it. So I think I'm just going to go with the same route that they took and wrap it around a few times and silicone over the top. It's lasted me a year. It's not had any issues with arcing, it's just that the tube's died. So we're going to do the same thing. So clearly it works. My K40 was the same. When I did replace the hot wire on that, I did replace the power supply and I did wrap that the same, and that was fine. That's still running now. So we're going to do the same with the brand new tube. Again, I'm going to pull out the new tube and just again check it for size against this one now that I've taken it out. So there's the old tube next to the new tube. They look very, very similar, to be honest. They look exactly the same. Look like they're manufactured in the same way. Things look like they're in the same place. I've emptied this of pretty much all of the water. Let's move the camera back a bit so we can try and see down that nozzle there. As you can see, that's like an orangey colour. And on the new one, it's kind of like a green reflective colour. So I don't know if that's going to make a load of difference. I don't know if it's going to be better or worse, but we're going to get the new tube in, going to get it all wired up, and hopefully we can be up and running in a little while. Okay, so let's see if this one fits as well as the other one does. I've already pre-stripped the wires, so that should be easier for me to get in there. Very, very carefully get this in. Fits nicely. It's there. You want your laser end to be about an inch, inch and a half away from the first mirror. I'm going to go to about there. It's fine. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these pipes back onto the tube. So they pressure fit quite nicely. And I'm just going to push them up to where it bends. And that should be enough. And they fit quite nice there. I'm not going to clamp this down just yet. I'm going to get my water chiller hooked up and I'm going to pump water through just to make sure there's no leaks and everything's okay. Because there's no point in getting everything wired in and then turning it on, realising there's some leaks and then having to send it back. So we might as well wait at this point, get it all hooked up with a water pump, pump some water through, make sure everything's alright, there's no leaks, there's no air gaps or anything like that, and go from there. I think we should be okay, all looks okay so far. So let's see. Okay, so the water's all set up. These are on pretty nicely. So I'm going to turn the water pump on. That's it, nice and full of water. Good, no leaks, which is brilliant. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to get this positioned now, turn the water back off, get this positioned and clamp it down, then we'll get the wires on. All good so far? So when you're tightening these down, you don't need to tighten these down so tight that it's going to crack the tube. Really, you just want it to be so the tube doesn't move. Which means I don't need to mess about with the back ones. I can just mess with these front ones. The back ones can stay exactly as they are, just on that little bit of an angle, because that's not going anywhere. I got to remember that the machine itself doesn't move, so this isn't going to be under any kind of stress to move backwards and forwards. And there we go. It's not twisting side to side, it's not moving backwards or forwards. That's plenty tight. So now I'm going to attach these wires the same way they were attached to the other tube. I'm going to wrap this round a couple of times like it was anyway. Can't see that making a huge difference to how it works, it's just tidier. And eventually, once I've changed the tubes a few times, this is going to be fairly short. So that'll be fine. I think one more time. Just to tidy this up. That's perfect, look at that. Right where that ends. So we'll get this fairly tight around there. I'll do the same with the hot end, and then we'll come back and we'll put the silicone on each end. I'm going to reuse these bits of tube over the top of the ends, because like I say, they act as a good mould for you to just squirt loads of silicone in and then just let it dry. I'm using the silicone that came with my laser. Actually says on the one package silicone adhesive. I did translate this with Google Translate, and it is pure silicone. It's non-toxic to the environment, and it's you can use it as an electrical insulator. It says it all in one of these bits. I used Google Lens to translate it. If you don't have any of this silicone, I'll stick a link down below to where you can get some. A lot of people do throw these away when they get the laser. I do recommend trying to keep hold of it. I'm just going to put a blob all around this side. So this tube's got like a little split in it, and that's just designed to fit over the top of that wire. And then we're going to fill that tube right up. It squirts out at the bottom. I'm also going to put a bit around the bottom there, just to make sure. Might have to sit here and hold this for a minute, it's trying to come off. Okay, so I got these on. What I had to do in the end was I had to take this one off, clean it up completely, and I used a bit of mitre bond. I didn't spray onto the glass because I didn't know whether or not this connection would get damaged with the spray, because it's acetone and I don't know what else in there as the activator. And that's held the bottom of this in place just so the silicone can dry. Did the same on that end. Those are nice and full of silicone now, filled it up to the top again. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, leave this for half an hour or so, come back, check on it and make sure it's all still full and not all just dribbled out of the bottom, because it's quite liquidy, this silicone, for some reason. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so it's all pretty dry. It's a tiny little bit soft in some areas, like they're all pretty solid. So I'm just going to give it a test fire and see how it goes. Okay, so the laser's on. Give it a test fire with the same settings that I had last time. I've not changed anything at all. Try and turn this light off because I can't actually see that on the camera. Go. And there we go, beautiful pink purple laser. That's exactly how we want it to be. Let's check this end where it hits. Whoop. Nice and bright. So that's working fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to realign everything. As you can see, I've not even moved this piece. I'm going to realign everything now, make sure all the mirrors and everything are straight, because I've put a different tube in and everything's slightly different. And then we'll recut this design with the exact same settings and see how it goes. Okay, so we're cutting at exactly the same speed and power settings. Might have to do a ramp test, I'm not too sure, because it's at the same focal point. But as you can see from this beam, it's beautifully purple all the way along. bit of the quality at that end were really nice. And there we go guys, that is a pretty easy way of how to change your laser tube. It's kind of a daunting task, it seems kind of dangerous and a lot of things can go wrong, but a lot of things can go wrong if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. It's quite simple and straightforward if you just concentrate and you just think about what you're doing. The hardest part, I would say, would be to get this off cleanly, because your tube might be connected at the water pipes. You might need to cut that side off and getting these power points off. But as I did, just snipping them and then taking them off. If you had some side cutters, then you could just cut these cable ties instead of trying to push the wire through and unwrap it like I did, but that was something I didn't think I'd need. I am going to try and repurpose this tube into something kind of cool, because it's my first replacement of a laser tube and I don't even know if I can recycle these. So I'm going to recycle it myself into something pretty cool and I'm hoping it'll turn out really well. So keep an eye out for that video. It should be coming, to be fair, anytime. I'm hoping I can get some time to do something cool with this. I did have to realign the final mirror, the laser head, because it was a little bit lower and for some reason on my machine I can't really adjust the laser head. There's 3 screws that go in there and they're only in one position, and I'm going to need to do something with the bracket so I can adjust that. At the moment I've got it glued into place on that bracket, but like I say, I'm going to replace that bracket at some point in the future so I can adjust the head to get those perfect results. I did a lot of testing before I glued it into place to make sure I was hitting at the right point. The reason I knew something was kind of off was because I got very, very similar results to what the old tube was, and that's obviously not right. The light from the tube was bright purple, there was no arcing, everything was absolutely perfect, like is a brand new tube, and so something was kind of off. I took the bottom of the laser head off and I put a bit of masking tape there and I did a test fire and I got a crescent shape which indicated I was hitting something after the final mirror. So I was actually hitting the final mirror and then it was reflecting and bouncing off something inside the final tube. So I did a lot of testing, moved things around, and that's when I found out that, you know, obviously it wasn't right. So the speeds I was getting with the old tube was 8mm a second maximum. On the new laser tube, it went all the way to 12mm a second at 40% power. That cut through cleanly. It pretty much dropped out. I had to give it a tiny little tap and it just fell out. Having a look at the back, the 14mm per second at 40% power, it kind of went through most of it, but then other bits didn't. But a 4mm a second increase is a big deal, especially at these low speeds. I'm going to do more testing to see what speeds I can get this up to. I'll let you know down in the comments below what speeds those ended up being, but at the moment, being able to cut 4mm MDF at 12mm a second, 40% power, that's absolutely amazing, which is a lot of time saved and it's a massive production increase just for my little laser machine. So I hope you found some of the information in this video helpful. All the tools, all the equipment, everything that I've ended up using at the end of this, because it was a learning process for me as well. I'm going to put in all the mistakes and things like that. All the tools, everything that I've used, I'm going to link down below just so you can get some yourself if you've not already got them. I do hope this helps somebody out. I hope it helps you get over that fear of putting your laser tube in, because I know I had that fear. I watched a lot of videos before I did this and I was like, right, okay, I think I've got my head around it. And at the end of the day, it's quite simple. If you plan ahead, if you've got everything there with you and you think about it, you can change your tube in 10 minutes and then you're just waiting for that silicon to set. That can take half an hour to a full day depending on which silicon you do get. So thanks for watching, guys. Please give it a big thumbs up if it did help you a little bit. If you want to help out this channel, then subscribe, give it a thumbs up. those are the best ways you can help out this channel. It does push my video to more people then, and the more people that watch my video, the more it helps me out, and it's just a big circle and a nice big happy family. Thank you to everybody that's subscribed so far. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.